Hi, my name's Sean. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. My parents split up at a young age, and some resentments just held on to for a long time. You know, a desire that I think most kids always want was for mom and dad to get back together. It wasn't really happening that way, and you know, different things would happen because of that breakup. We had alcohol in our life, my brother and I, growing up. Not so much when we were with mom, but on dad's side when they were with the family, I don't know that we would state it as alcoholics, but you know, just a lot of sports orientation in my life was mainly revolved around sports with my father's family, and there was drinking that went along with it. And so there was a lot of drinking growing up, even as a young man, but not in an alcoholic's fashion or not in a crazy wild man type thing, even though we would see wild behavior at times when you're in those environments. This ultimately resulted in me being a pretty bitter teenager. My life started to go a little south. At this time, I mainly was interested in sports. Everything revolved around making teams. I had moved around most of my life. And now we were in a new town, and the people on the sports teams didn't know me. They knew the kids that were supposed to be on the sports team, and I found myself not making any of the sports teams. The bitterness grew, and in that, I finally decided between no sports and having a brother that beat me up every day at home, I reached out and found friends outside of the home that I could go to, and in that, I started to find drugs and alcohol at a new level that I had never known before. I started working at a restaurant as a dishwasher. The availability to grab alcohol from the back was there. They needed me to send it to the bar many times. Along the way, I started to steal it, hide it, and bring it home. And upon doing so, instead of just being the new kid at school that guys wanted to fight and people wanted to find more oppressiveness in my life, I started to become a person that people liked. I had something that they thought was worthy of friendship. And so this is where I started to find that I could be accepted among my peers, and that was with alcohol. And then soon after that, it would be with weed, pot as well. And I became known as the guy that people would want to invite to a party if they wanted a little bit of beer there. Upon that, I started to become known as a guy that was just a pothead. Drugs and alcohol became a way to escape, and it allowed me to be accepted among my peers. When I started to have new friends, I didn't think it would end up in a very bad way. Everybody seemed like good kids, and we all wanted to hang out, and we were all just doing similar things. Nobody really seemed like bad people. For the most part, every one of us had heard people coming into the school talking about coming from a deep drug addiction past, and here they were, and all of us looked at each other and said, we're not like him. You know, we're not that bad. You know, we're playing around with it a little bit, but we can stop whenever we want to. And the crux of the problem started there. There was so much joy in it, we planned our whole entire lives around it. Out of school, while during school, we would talk amongst each other when the teachers weren't around, when other people weren't around. What are you doing tonight? Guess what we're doing later on this week? This weekend party's going to be at such and such's house. Do you think you can get some of that beer? Hey, do you think you can get a hold of some of that weed? And so that became my whole entire thought. No wonder my grades, I couldn't keep up. I was too busy worried about how am I going to make this work out? Am I going to be able to pull out that beer and not get caught? I mean, these were things that I cared most about, how to hold on to my friends. Primary importance. Invested everything in drugs and alcohol. That's where my friends were. That's where I felt like my escape was. And within this period of time, eating started to become low on the radar. When you don't have mom and dad feeding you food, and the house that you're living in, and everybody's drugging in, everybody's money's going to drink and drugs, nobody wants to buy food. And so I stopped eating, and my weight dropped down to very extreme levels, really malnourished. To me, it was all about staying high. There was a certain fear I had without it. What was once take it or leave it was now had me in its grips. My life started to really go in a downward spiral. I would travel down in the city. Everybody else was in school. I found some people, and we would go get some hard drugs, heroin and crack cocaine. And my life really just started to change. I was caught in a vicious cycle. I wanted out, but I couldn't get out. I was that guy. I was so gone.